All right. Peace, peace, peace. Welcome to the second episode of the Mixed Metals Podcast. I'm your humble host, Daquan Bynum. I'm kicking it solo today. Um, I want to start this week off with my 49ers losing. Um, so to know me is to know my favorite team, right? So since it's football season, we talk about the 49ers. The 49ers is my favorite NFL team. Alabama, Ohio State, Oklahoma, Georgia Tech, Texas. I like those teams in college across all sports. So I kind of follow them in each sport. Um, Basketball, I'm more of a fan of LeBron than I am a team. If I had to pick a team, it would be Philly. I like Joel Embiid. Um, but Philly is in disarray at the moment. So I'm gonna just focus on the Lakers this upcoming season. But anyway, the 49ers lost a close one on the road to the Cleveland Browns. Now the Browns defense is, stout. One of the better defenses that we've seen through this short span. And I think the stats are like over 50 years. Um, I think they're giving up only like 15 points a game, which is insane. Um, I'm not here to make any kind of excuses. I will just say that without Debo and without Christian McCaffrey, having both of them out changes the whole texture of the 49ers offense. Um, you can have some kind of contingency plan for missing one of them, or you got an Elijah Mitchell, typically speaking, for times that one of those players are out. But as far as both of them being out, I would imagine that it's hard to account for that, especially on the road, especially against that great of defense. And Brock Purdy didn't play well. He just simply did not play well. He made a great drive, or he put together a great drive towards the end of the game, but second half he only had 50 yards. That's unacceptable. If you're trying to win, especially in this league, against whatever opponent, let alone a great defense. So I still believe in Brock Purdy. I like him as a quarterback. I like him as a person so far. I think that he does have what it takes to lead this team and this kind of team to a championship. He doesn't have to be perfect. He doesn't have to be stellar or anything like that. There will be great moments required. Those, you always have that one drive that people remember, or that one throw that people remember. So those kind of plays, will be necessary, like spread throughout. But I still think that the 49ers are the best team in the NFL. And I don't necessarily think it's that close. I do think that Detroit is is on our heels. I would say is on our heels. I think that Detroit winning and San Francisco and Philly losing yesterday showed us like that is them three and everybody else in the NFC. I think that the Eagles, I think that we as NFL fans probably learned the most about the Eagles and their loss, as far as those three teams. Um, the Eagles hadn't played well, particularly well, and uh, they were 5-0. So I mean, that had to catch up with them at some point, right? We can't expect for you to not be able to play great games in the NFL and it not show and it not translate or it not catch up to you at some point. I'm not gonna really get into it, but it is just like the USC. Um, I don't think that they are this great team, and I think that's why they slipped. They will win a game and slip in the rankings. I believe that that's the only team because I mean rankings this like at this point in the season kind of come and go. Like they don't really matter that much. But I think that they were the most accurately ranked. And like their wins, the way that they won, the fashion in which they won showed in the rankings the most, more than any other team. Um, I think that uh Philly Philly kind of had to go 5-0 in their first 5 games in order to be able to sustain any kind of setbacks or anything like that moving forward. The Jets, hell of a defense. Um, you know, people you can say what you want about Zach Wilson. I mean, we've all said what we had to about Zach Wilson. I don't think he's that great of a quarterback, but I do think that he is learning. I believe that he is there have been like just guys at quarterback that have been able to win Super Bowls, like a Trent Dilfer or Joe Flacco, ironically, both for the Ravens. Um, but I don't think that he is a Super Bowl winning quarterback at all. And I mean, there's 31 other quarterbacks in the league every year that are not Super Bowl winning quarterbacks, right? So that's fair. I just don't think that Zach Wilson is as equipped for the NFL as he possibly probably could have been, especially for a number 2 overall pick, I believe. Um, so yeah, I mean, I think they're doing what they can with what they have. Um, but I mean, they came out, they played a spirited game. Um, I believe that, but as I'm recording, the Dallas and LA game just kicked off. Um, Speaking of my 49ers, they beat the hell out of the Cowboys last week, and I think that they showed a lot of teams how they can beat Dallas. In my opinion, you just run the ball. If you run the ball towards them, I mean, they don't have the greatest rush defense that I've seen so far this year, and I think that their loss last week showed that their wins weren't as, like people do that all the time, right? You look at, for some reason we do the common opponents thing as if, different teams can't be different on different days. But we were looking at the common opponents and looking at what the Cowboys did to them versus what the 49ers did to them and all of this. And that just goes to show that when the two teams are on the field, those are the two teams that are on the field. It's not about who else they played or any kind of wins and losses. I'm trying to go 1-0 this week against you. And I think that they kind of got caught up in that. A lot of weird quotes from Dak after that first loss against Arizona, and it's kind of been going downhill for them ever since. Um, I I don't necessarily hate the Cowboys because they are in the same conference as my favorite team or anything like that. I don't like the Cowboys just because the fan base is just so like I I don't understand where all these fans come from. Every year it's the same old thing. We're going to the Super Bowl this year, right? Yeah, and it hasn't panned out. Well, I mean, maybe it panned out last time when I was 3 years old, which was 27 years ago. Um, I just don't see the Cowboys as this big, great juggernaut that the fans see them as. Um, but I am still curious as to what Jerry Jones was so curious about in that picture. I still haven't forgotten about that, and I don't think I will anytime soon. Uh, Jerry Jones, if this ever gets to you, which I doubt, but if this ever gets to you, could you please let me know what it was that you were so curious about? Thanks. All right. Moving on to the MLB, actually. The most recent things that happened, the Rangers and the ALCS beat the Astros in the second game, actually. So they lead the series 2-0. They won 5-4. I believe that was in Houston. In-state series are always fun in baseball, in playoff baseball. And I'm not a fan of the Astros at all. Since the whole cheating scandal, I just haven't been interested. I would like to see, since my team, full disclosure, is the Cardinals. We had a terrible year. So I mean, I've been pretty much out of baseball for months at this point. But I would like to see Bryce Harper win a championship. He's had a hell of a year. And he was able to put out a 100+ win Braves team in quick fashion. They were able to. I think that, I think that they're putting it together at the right time, and that's what baseball is all about. I've always said that the sports where it could really, really go either way, whereas, I mean, no sport is won on paper. We know that, but the sports where it could really, really go either way, any kind of combat sport, golf and baseball. I think that those are sports where, sometimes, the better team just does not win. And you may have a time like that, days back to back, because they play so many games in so many days. I think that if you get in the right rhythm on, like, at the right time, you can put out anybody. So it's always interesting. I don't think that I've ever seen a correct prediction from game 1 all the way to game 162. I think that that's as far as what teams will and won't be in the playoffs. Because if you ask me, game 1, my Cardinals going all the way, of course. But not only did we not go all the way, I think we got eliminated like about a month and a half ago, 2 months ago, something like that. But yeah, I would like to see a Philly Texas World Series, and I would like to see Bryce Harper bring that one home. Briefly covering the college. I'm not a fan of Colorado, but I have been watching because of Deion. I think that he is bringing an excitement to the sport that we haven't seen in a very long time. I think the only other thing that can make it this exciting is once we finally get the EA Sports game back. I think that, I mean, him being in his first year with Colorado with that, that caliber of a team, it's some growing pains. It's some growing pains. And I think that we probably got caught up in the hype with them going 3-0, and not only going 3-0, last year they won 1 game. So 2 games would have been 100% improvement. So for them to be at this point, having won 4 games is impressive to me. But I would love to see them get 6 wins and be able to go to a bowl. Or if there's a team that doesn't want to go to their bowl or something like that, I would hate for that to be the case. But I would like for them to earn their spot outright and go ahead and and make a bowl bid. And I think that will only help with his recruiting and all of that. I think that Deion is building a powerhouse over in Colorado, and especially with them moving to the Big 12 next season, I believe, after all of the conference shakeups. I think that with them moving to the Big 12 and Oklahoma and Texas moving out into the SEC, I think that Deion is in, no pun intended, a prime position to be able to build a set piece, or what's the word, a flagship in that conference, and be the talk of the town, so to speak, in the new Big 12. So yeah, he's got to work out some on defense. He needs some linemen. He needs some difference makers on defense. He's able to. So far, he's been able to hang with everybody, except for Oregon. That's been the only game that's been a just outright blowout. But I think that they've been able to hang in there, and I don't think that had they had any other coach, I don't think that Colorado, we wouldn't be talking about Colorado at all. I know I wouldn't be. I've never been to Colorado, never wanted to be out there. I mean, but he is changing the landscape of football, and I'm happy about that. Apparently he's brought more Black attention back to college football. That's always exciting. He's just reinvigorated the sport, and that we will be thanking him for years to come for that. Moving on to the NBA, it's the preseason right now. Not seeing anything that's too spectacular, of course, in the preseason. Dame and Giannis, we finally got to see them play together. Finally got to see Dame in the Bucks uniform, and I say finally as if the trade didn't happen like not even a month ago at this point. But the saga went on from basically the playoffs to now, because Dame was starting to put it out there that he could see himself with Miami, or he could see himself in Brooklyn, or his friends that are in the league, across the league, and he was putting those seeds out there. And although he didn't get to go to either of those teams, I think that Milwaukee is a great fit. I think that Giannis and Dame hide each other's flaws perfectly, in my opinion. Dame is not the greatest defensive player in the world. Giannis can be. Giannis is not the clutch, playmaker, or he's not games on the line. I need to score, or get me to the free throw line. He's not that kind of player. Dame is. So I think that when we get to see those moments during the season, I think that'll be exciting. Dame has always been one of my favorite players since he's been in the league. I like his attitude. I like his play style. I like his professionalism. He comes to work, and he puts in the work. You can tell that he loves the game and that he cares about his craft. One of the top 75 players of all time. I mean, that's not just by luck for most. I think that I would like to see Dame and Giannis in the conference finals, but this season I would love to see the Lakers and the Celtics in the finals. I would love to see LeBron, because we've gotten to see the all-time greats to wear that uniform. We've gotten to see them play in a series against the Celtics. So I think that it's only right that we get to see LeBron do it once before, it's time for him to retire. I do think that, I mean, it's obviously everybody is 0-0, but I think that we are in, I think that the Lakers match up well with most teams in the East. I think that it's just a matter of, are we going to get Anthony Davis's best night in and night out, throughout the season? Is this the time where he finally takes the mantle and, takes control of the team? I know that LeBron has been pushing for this to happen. This is my first time. This is the first time I remember hearing him say it during the opening press conferences that, this is Anthony's team, and so to speak, just kind of trying to get that in his head that moving forward, I will take the back seat from here. We would like for you to lead the team and lead us into the playoffs and lead us through the playoffs. I think that LeBron being the second best player on any team is, I mean, that's scary. So I think that if they are able to do that, I think that they can, make something happen in the playoffs. Other than that, I would like to see some other teams that are, let's see, we can go. I would like to see what Ben Simmons has going this season. He's fooled us time and time again, so I can't, I only believe it if I see it. I think, well, it's going to be interesting with the Nets and the Sixers being in the same division. They had to play each other 4 times. So that's going to be a chippy, interesting series either way, because we don't know we don't know where James Harden is going to be, and we don't know who Ben Simmons is going to be. And Philly will have to make a reasonable trade that makes sense, in order for them to be able to get rid of James Harden. You don't just let him walk. You can't, like, and he's been semi-professional now because he's coming to camp. They have rules in place where you like they can start docking your pay earlier if you choose to sit out and those kind of things. So I don't think he wanted his money affected, and he appears to be in shape, which has not been the story of the past 2 instances where he's quit on teams. So I think that he's trying to give his next team a good product, and I think that Philly is looking for the best available product in order for them to, get back. I think the clock is ticking as far as Philly goes with Joel Embiid. I think that they haven't been able to just put pieces and keep pieces around him. Everybody leaves, and the people that don't leave end up being Tobias Harris, which is not a knock on Tobias Harris, but Tobias Harris hasn't been able to hasn't seen sustained success in the playoffs. And I mean, you need that second star on a champion to be a championship team. I do think that Tyrese Maxey is headed in the right direction, but I don't know that their dynamic is where it needs to be in order for them to try to win the championship, especially when teams are getting better. I think the Celtics got better over the summer. I think that the Bucks obviously got better over the summer. I do think that Miami took a step back. They lost a few players and didn't necessarily replace them. You still got to look out for Cleveland. The Knicks will be interesting, but I don't know if they'll be like necessarily a threat. A healthy Chicago Bulls team could potentially be scary. I mean, Miami is always going to be there. They're always going to be in the mix, but I don't think that they'll be in the championship picture this season. So yeah, I think that the East has gotten better overall, and I don't think that Philly has yet made the move to make them, a competitive team with the top of the top in that conference. All right, moving off of sports, I want to talk about music real quick. This past weekend, Westside Gunn finally put out his album, which was a sequel, if you will, to Pray for Paris, and then You Pray for Me. 21 songs, I believe, which is different for Wes, considering that I think Hitler Wears Hermes 8 was over 20 songs, but it was 2 discs. And he did mention the fact that he made 2 albums worth of music and put it all together for this album. Definitely a different sound than we're used to hearing from Westside Gunn. I'm a huge Griselda fan, by the way. So I know that this is like just pretty different. He's sprinkled some trap beats here and there. For 10, I think Fly God Jr. did a couple beats, and they were both trap. But hearing Westside on a mostly trap sound is different. It took a second listen for me to actually like it this time, which is unusual, but I mean, it's pretty much gonna always come back to me liking it. He hasn't put out a project that I haven't liked yet. And I think that Conway is getting better. I think that Benny is getting better. Feature wise, I don't know if it was true, but Conway saying that he hadn't, like, the medicine hadn't even worn off as far as his verse. He snapped. You always know that Westside doesn't want the spotlight on his songs. He looks for the feature artist to shine. So when you get a JID on there, and JID lost his mind on there. When you get a Denzel Curry, when you get a Conway, or a Stove guy, the usual suspects. On these kind of beats, when you bring them into a different world, I mean, it's amazing. I think that he has one of the best ears in hip hop. I think that he has one of the best ears in music. I mean, that's a broad statement, but I think that Westside has one of the better ears that we've seen. I think Westside, Rick Ross, who was also on the project, Nipsey Hussle had a great ear for music, and Currency. I think that those four are probably like the best ears as far as what beats they would sound good on, what beats other people would sound good on. I would love to hear an executive produced by Rick Ross album. It don't matter who does the album. I guess I would, maybe a Westside Gunn album. I doubt that would happen, but I would love to hear a curated by Rick Ross Westside Gunn album. And Westside seems to be taking a step back, not necessarily retiring, but he's saying that, like, as far as like full length studio albums, he's done with that. He may put out a project here and there. He may do a song here and there. So yeah, I mean, if he's in like just a creative space, I would love to see Westside Gunn and Rick Ross collab, or Westside Gunn and Rick Ross, executive production. I think that I just think that those two would be perfect together for, just some kind of project, some kind of collaborative, you know, put together project. That's probably my favorite music release in the past couple weeks. Wrong Streets, speaking of Griselda, Wrong Streets, they put out Noise Candy 5 a few weeks back. I loved it. My favorite albums of the year so far have been Killer Mike, Ransom, Westside Gunn, probably. I still haven't forgotten about Conway putting out Won't He Do It. I love that album. Nas Magic 3. I mean, Nas made it difficult for me to decide like which trilogy I like better. And the fact that he's rapping, at the clip that he is at 50 years old is just showing, like, I mean, of course we haven't seen it in hip hop because hip hop itself is only 50 years old. So I mean, a lot of things that the older acts are doing is new. Is gonna be new because I mean, it's the youngest genre in music. Even things that are birthed out of hip hop are even younger than the 50 years of hip hop. So yeah, I think that Jay-Z's guest verses have been amazing. I don't think he's put out anything this year, but Nas is on a hell of a run. I'm looking forward to seeing if Pusha T or if Clips got something for us in this fourth quarter. I think that I just Pusha T is also another one of my all-time favorites. I really enjoy It's Almost Dry. Obviously Daytona was a classic. And he is supposedly doing the Gangsta Grills this year. As we come to a close, he has put out music in like late in the year in the past a few times. So I wouldn't be surprised if he's putting the finishing touches on that. I'm excited to hear him on either Jacking for Beats or all original tape with just DJ Drummer talking his shit in the background. I really like the direction that DJ Drummer has gone in as far as his music, like, the early days where it was strictly Jacking for Beats to now where we have all original music or maybe like one or two Jacking for Beats type songs. I would love to hear more, like more of the older type shit for drama, but I would be okay either way. I just I'm excited to because I know it's gonna be a lot of shit talking as far as Push, because Push is like up here with the with the fashion references and the travel references and just the things that he talks about that he does. So I know that um I know that I know that he's gonna be in a different zone when he puts together that project. So I'm looking forward to that. Um Off of music, let's talk about some video games. My most recent pickup was Lords of the Fallen. It's another Souls-like. I don't understand why some video games end up with the exact same name. Um, I don't understand why we are on Modern Warfare 3 2, if that makes sense. I like it. They could have called it anything. They could have called it Modern Warfare. At this point, this would be Modern Warfare 6, which I don't get why we didn't call it Modern Warfare 6 or whatever. I don't know. Um, but Lords of the Fallen 2023, I have to say that because Lords of the Fallen originally came out in 2014. Is like they couldn't call it part two. Originally, it was supposed to be the Lords of the Fallen, as if that one word would have made that much of a difference. I don't understand why they took it out if that was the original idea. I'm not sure, but anyway, so far it's pretty fun. I got it on PS5. Um, Very different type of gameplay as far as like is basically two worlds in one. And the part of the DNA of a Souls like is not only the difficult combat or the difficult boss fights or anything like that, but it's the environmental storytelling where and I mean this one is no different. People are talking about Lies of P. I haven't gotten like deep into Lies of P enough to be able to speak on it, but so far Lords of the Fallen is not a lot of dialogue, it's not a lot of character interactions or anything like that. It's just like it's combat and you got to figure out, how to get from point A to point B or how to beat this boss and this enemy's fight patterns and that kind of thing. Is the typical Souls like formula with just a different twist on it. Um, I wasn't a fan of the Souls-like genre until I played Elden Ring, and then once I played Elden Ring, I kind of started going back to the Bloodborns and the Dark Souls and uh what else? Demon Souls. I got Demon Souls on PS5. Didn't think I was gonna be a fan, but I like the slow, methodical combat. I haven't beaten any of the games, but so far, I've become more and more of a fan the more I've played. Um, I can say that so far, this is my favorite of the non-From Soft Souls-like games. Um, I think that they they really like went back and they changed the combat system from the original Lords of the Fallen, which I never beat it, but I'm kind of playing them both at the same time. So I played the original, the 2014 on PC, and I played the 2023 on my PS5. Um, I think just playing them simultaneously, because it really does like the story. I won't really get into spoilers or anything because the 2014 is set 1,000 years after the events in the 2014 version. So it is if there are spoilers, I doubt it'll probably be light. I'm not anticipating any kind of I'm not anticipating like the greatest story I've ever seen in a video game. So I think I'll be fine. I'm playing them both at the same time. Um, as far as games of the year, I would have to say it's difficult because for me, game of the year is the game that you've resonated with most that year. So I can say that DC's Heroes and Villains um, has been a favorite of mine. For a point, I played it every day for like 3 months straight. Where like I would log in the morning, I would log in when I got home, I would log in one more time before I went to bed. It's kind of laggy at this point, and it's a lot of glitching and a lot of crashes. So I'll kind of put it down, especially since I got a new PC this year, and I've been gaming more on my PC. I've been using my Steam Deck a lot more. Um, so my iPad with Heroes and Villains is kind of taking a back seat. But between that game and actually Gotham Knights, I'm still loving Gotham Knights. It's very, very slow with the progression system, but I'm enjoying the tidbits of the storytelling that I'm getting. I'm enjoying the villains, except for Clayface. I did not like that fight. Um, and it's on Game Pass on PC, so I finally get my 60 frames a second. Um, so that's been fun. I've I want to say Starfield, maybe. I think I'll enjoy Starfield. I have an NVIDIA graphics card, so I'm waiting for them to finally put DLSS on in a patch for that game to really really get into it. But so far from what I've seen, I've enjoyed Starfield. I've enjoyed watching gameplay and that kind of thing. I'm really 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 excited about Spider-Man 2. Um, it has probably the most potential for me to be biased about as far as game of the year. It's the only game where I can like probably consider it my game of the year, having not even played it yet. Um, so yeah, I'm looking forward to Spider-Man. Uh, Forza I haven't played yet, but it looks pretty good. But I don't know if a racing game is my game of the year type of game. Um, Redfall was a disaster this year, um, and still is. I think they just recently got a patch like for 60 frames a second on consoles last week, maybe a week before. Either way, far too late for the $70 game. Um, so yeah, I'm thinking Spider-Man would probably end up being my game of the year, but at the moment, I would have to say DC's Heroes and Villains is my 2023 game of the year, and that's surprising because I was never into the mobile games. I was never into the match three type games. I mean, I may have played them like when I was younger, when I first had an iPod that where the App Store first opened and all of that kind of stuff. But other than that, I had never been into the match three type games. But there is, although it's light and I don't really care about it, there is a story there. There is like a progression system. There is uh, PvP. There is there's RPG like elements where you equip this skill onto this character and you put these teams together. Maybe you may not be able to put the Teen Titans with the Birds of Prey, or vice versa, or anything like that. So you got to really watch who you're putting on the team and do that matchup against your opponent. So I like that. I like them bringing those elements to that game. Uh, I think it's a great game. I think that there's a great game underneath, and they're adding so much stuff to it. There's guilds now. There are PvPs, conquest. You got events refreshing, I think, every week, and I mean, you got a battle pass, of course. They got to get their money somehow, but there's so much to that game, so much more than what's on the surface, and that's what I like about it. I like when they add new characters. There are different versions of Batman, which surprised me. Just the collection factor. The only thing that I can say that I don't like about Heroes and Villains is the fact that you get a lot of repeat characters when you open the packs. that can get really annoying, especially considering that you got all this in-game currency, however you got it, whether it be, you know, your daily login or you doing your PvPs or you progressing in the story or whatever you're doing, for you to get your in-game currency and you open a pack and it's Catwoman, and then you open another pack, it's Cyborg, and then you open another pack, it's Catwoman again. I don't like that. You know, there's so much repetition in that aspect, but you know, they gotta what's the word I'm looking for? They gotta basically string you along. They gotta incentivize you to, you know, to either spend your money or spend your currency to where you maybe have to spend money at that point. So, you know, I can't knock the hustle. Um, I believe that is going to be it for this episode, for episode 2. There will be another episode. Moving forward, I'll try my best to make sure that I do 2 episodes a week. I give you one towards the beginning of the week and one towards the end of the week, which are basically end up stacking up on each other. But I try to do my best to put out 2 per week. Hopefully next episode I have my brothers with me, Jalen and Nance and possibly Richard. And I look forward to you know, growing my fan base and you know, speaking with just, you know, anybody that's willing to have discussions on sports or fashion or music or video games or, you know, anything. I can really speak. I know a little bit about a lot, and I know a lot about a little bit. You know, I can say that I'm well equipped in both. So yeah, I look forward to speaking with you all on the next episode. I promise to be more consistent, and I promise to get better. Until next time, peace.